Okay, welcome back. Um, you've probably noticed that factoring can be a pain in the butt sometimes. Today we're going to look at a way to make factoring useless. Not really useless, I shouldn't say that, but it's going to make it so that you're going to wonder why I ever made you do it in the first place. So find the roots. We got to set y to 0, two numbers, x plus 2, x plus 1. And then we break it up, right? X plus 2 equals 0, x equals minus 2. I'm rushing because this is easy. Do some algebra control. Now, when we try to do this one, when we try to do the second one, there are no solutions. Well, that's terrible. We like solutions, okay? And we know we can figure it out in other ways. So here and here, sorry, when it comes to spelling the word algebraically, I need to stop and think about that one. So there's got to be a way to find it algebraically. Fortunately for you, there is. Oh, hey, look at that. But how do you find them when you can't factor? You really look ahead in my notes. So there's something called the quadratic formula. And what this is a rather complex looking equation that you're going to have memorized by the end of the unit, or at least you better. Um, So it's negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac and all that square rooted divided by 2a. So what the heck is this? Well, before we delve into it too far, do you remember how to find ABC in a quadratic equation? Right? So this is in standard form A, B, and C. So how do we, for example, in this equation, A, what? Ah, these are supposed to disappear. Fine. A is 1, B is negative 6, and C is for cookie is negative 40. Oh, that's going to make the rest of my presentation difficult. And, hey, I can do it that way. All right, so as we just noticed, however, if we're going to do it this way, I'm going to change the size of this so that it's faster for me to erase. Okay, and you're still using that crazy quadratic equation. So negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And we're simply going to follow the equation. So if b is negative 6, we put in negative 6 where the b is. Notice I have the brackets around that negative 6. If I notice you have a negative 6 without the brackets, you will lose marks. Don't be a naughty monkey. Do what you're supposed to do. Where the a is, we replace with a 1. And finally, where the c is, we replace with a negative 40. As of this point, we're using BEDMAS. So all those nasty little skills that you got taught and you hope would never come back again, they come back again. So according to BEDMAS, we can do the multiplication. 2 times 1 gives us 2. Negative 6 squared is 36. 4, negative 4 times 1 times negative 40 is positive 60. Careful with the signs. There's not much we can do with the 6 and the 2. There's something, but it's not worth doing. So the only thing really left is the 36 and the 60. So we are going to add. We're going to take the square root of the 96, and it's 14. And the reason this formula has the plus or minus there is that 14 squared is 96 and negative 14 squared is 96. For those of you who are a little more comfortable with your algebra and a little bit more comfortable with that bit of information, you'll actually find a second way of solving this without using a quadratic equation. We are not going to cover it in this course, but it's not a huge step. So we break it up. Now you're going to find that I don't write this out an awful lot. I tend to jump to the next step in my solutions, and you are welcome to as well. Or we do the 6 minus 14. So x now could have two possible values. And this makes sense because when you have two x-intercepts, you can get two x values, just like we were before. The difference is how we're getting those x values. So in this case, we don't know what the answer is. We're not able to factor it. So we're going to use our newest math term to figure it out. You don't need the brackets when it's a positive number. You need them when it's a negative. It's a good idea really to put it in for both, but that part is up to you. That's plus 8. Now, I would fully expect that you guys would need a calculator for this, and to be honest, I did as well. I did everything else in my head, but when it came to the square root of 12, I can't do that. Now, it's a good habit to use 4 decimals. Okay, once we get into trigonometry, so the next chapter, you will have no choice in the matter. You must use 4 decimal places. But the more decimal places you use, the more accurate it is. The other thing that I don't think you guys have been taught before is that if you're working to 1 decimal place, then you need to have at least one more decimal place along the way. Meaning if one decimal place is in your final answer, then you need to have two decimal places as you're working through the problem. Okay, I'm gonna use the quadratic formula. It must be, the equation must be in standard form. And this is not. So we got to move it over. And it's not a big deal to move it over. But it won't work otherwise. And what you're going to find, if you're anything like me, is that you're going to go nuts to factoring, like 12 times negative 40 and two numbers that multiply to, I don't even know what that would be, 4,800 and add to negative 17. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I can't. I can't be bothered. So much easier, if not a little bit longer, to jump right in to the quadratic equation. Now, little tidbit, make sure the square root sign covers everything. Again, I mark what you write, not what you meant. Okay, I'm not going to go through and solve that. These things take a long time. What I do want you to look at, though, is this one. What happens if values are missing? So here we have a quadratic equation, and hopefully all of you are looking at this going, well, I dealt with this before. It just means b is 0. And you would be absolutely correct. The second thing that I want to show you is, hey, I can factor. You don't have to. It makes things easier, but you don't have to factor if you don't want to. Okay, so I'm going to choose to not factor just because I'm being difficult, but you can, and it'll make the quadratic equation easier. What is that? 80, 320. Now, this is how I typically solve a question. Although it's a bit of a cheat here because it's, all right, I guess it's not the greatest of examples. Don't worry, we have another lesson on this topic coming up. And if you look at my full solutions, you'll see how I deal with this bottom part. There's not a lot to it, and you certainly should write it out proper, but it's not a key part of the equation, so I'm not too concerned about it. All right. As always, you're welcome to email me or text me if you're having troubles. Um, Good luck with this stuff, guys. It actually isn't that bad. I do recommend you do it because it's one of those things that it looks easy, but as soon as you do it for yourself, you're going to find it's a little harder than what you think until you, after you do about 3 or 4 questions, you go, okay, yeah, that was as easy as I thought. But you got to do those 2 or 3 questions to make it easy. Okay? All right. Have a good one.